Welcome to the Realm of the Crimson Sage, where we discuss hobby, games, and anything to do with the gaming community. I want to kick this off by showing a new board that I put together, and I'm going to be building a lot more of these boards for upcoming events. The nice thing about this board is it's relatively cheap to build. I think the total cost is about $100 for materials, and some extra time to, of course, put everything together. In this particular session, we're going to walk through the design and construction of the board. Now, the base of this is a series of floor tiles that I've just glued together and put some paint on to make it look a bit like a city. The advantage here is that all of these can be folded and transported, just like the regular boards you could buy from GW, but of course at much significantly less cost. Now, the terrain can be moved around. I've placed it here to show how to create a balanced tournament board, and there are actually clips fixed to the board that will allow for quick placement. All the terrain is color coded so the players can easily see which buildings are theirs. Of course, the white is on one side and the brown is another, so players can quickly pick them up. The board also includes some markers from objectives, and these are based on Nephilim book and include the number of the mission and shows exactly where the objective markers are supposed to be placed on the board. You can see some of the clips that have been fixed to the board to allow for a quick placement of the terrain. Now, this center section has two standard walls that are usually light cover but aren't high enough to be obscuring, and their goal here is to allow both armies to advance on each other without necessarily being seen right away, and to provide some protection for whatever units are brave enough to stand in the middle of the board. And there are two big pieces, of course, on both sides, one white, one brown. Now, I favor the big footprints on my terrain that allow placements of some of the larger bases. We can see here that these are some of the bigger bases that GW puts out, and a lot of the old terrain is built around this 25mm bases, and it makes it very hard actually to place some of the bigger models when we put out the terrain. Now, everything is built around 4x4 tiles. There's wooden T-bars with cut foam board. It's very inexpensive, easy to work with, and in some of the future shows I'll show how you can actually produce these and use these to make your own terrain. One of the nice things about using the foam board is it's easy to make windows and doors that allow for making cover work well. And in this particular example, you can see that we've got to get some careful placement of the models so that they can fire through doors or windows or cracks in the wall, or like the guy in the corner there, who can actually take cover from the building itself. And this is on the opposite side of the other mirroring building, where we can see some of the warriors who are able to take advantage of some of the cover of the building itself to give them some protection before they move on. So the pre-placed terrain has gaps between them to allow most vehicles to pass through, yet still can be used to create choke points, as we can see here. The board itself is actually set up for when it's put for pre-placed to allow for multiple firing lanes, and this actually requires the armies to have careful placement and planning when you're actually setting up your armies. So assault armies can still use the buildings, while shooting armies can rely on these open lanes for firing. Now, depending how you set up the buildings themselves, there could be 2 or 3 main firing lanes. There's going to be 2 along the diagonal axis and 1 along the short axis, as you can see firing through this building. Now, this board is designed to be challenging, and it's meant for experienced players who want to be rewarded through careful placement and some planned advances. As we can see here, this is one of the firing lanes that you can either advance vehicles or monsters down, or have a nice firing gun line along them, forcing your opponent to move up through the terrain. And here we've added some craters and some trees in the other corners, then you have a full board. So that's the new board that I put together. And now we're going to be showing how to make some of the pieces within it in future videos and how to assemble them to actually build terrain. Thanks for watching. This, of course, is the Realm of the Crimson Sage. Hope you've enjoyed seeing the table that I've put together for you, and looking forward to showing you how we build some of the pieces in the future. Thanks again for watching.